Hi there, Jonathan Mills Patrick with you again. Thank you so much for joining me and welcome to another episode of Funding Simplified, where I simplify the business funding process, whether that's getting investors to put money into your startup or seeking loans for your startup or existing business. Today, I want to talk to you about the most common startup mistakes that I've seen, and I got this question recently on Quora and answered it. I've got a couple I want to share with you and one particular that I'm probably going to focus on. There's a lot of statistics out there that say the most common reasons that startups fail. I've seen it fluctuate, the opinion on those statistics one way or another. A couple of different things that happen. One of the things they talk about is a lack of funding. Clearly that impacts your ability to grow as a startup and to accomplish the different milestones that you need to. So lack of funding is a very common mistake that occurs. Also, more commonly, what I've heard talked about lately is the idea of a lack of addressable market size. So a market that your startup is either unable to figure out what the pain point is and solve it, or maybe just the demand is not there for your solution yet in that particular market. Maybe you don't have the distribution you need to reach that market. Lots of different ways, but one of the second most common that I've heard is the lack of an addressable market. That's going to kill any business that's out there. But a mistake that I don't see talked about quite as much that I really want to focus on today is being greedy. So with startups, they're your baby. It's your idea. You want to hold on to it as tightly as you can. But when you're seeking investors, the idea is you're going to exchange some ownership in your company for the capital that they're going to give you. But what I see with a lot of startups is they're just so greedy, they're afraid to give up what value in equity they really should. In most seed rounds, you can almost count on giving up anywhere between 15 and 25% of your idea. It can fluctuate a little bit depending on the valuation, although at a seed round, it can be hard to get a good valuation. But I do see greed where investors just aren't willing to get rid of equity in their business. And one of the things I always coach them on is to say, listen, would you rather own 1% of McDonald's or 100% of a hot dog stand? Well, I think we could all agree you'd rather own 1% of McDonald's. What I'm really trying to get the startup founder to understand when I share that example is that there's much more value in having a very large business that was able to grow because you were willing to bring on investors and give up equity in your idea. There's much more value in that long term than holding on to every bit of your equity and only owning a hot dog stand. Nothing against hot dog stands, but there's a lot better value in having 1% of a really big company that was able to grow because you got the investors that you needed. I see a lot of entrepreneurs, they're just afraid to let go of that equity. I was working with an entrepreneur not too long ago, and in the past, he's needed to raise money. He's called me at least 3 or 4 different times to get some coaching on that. And from the very beginning, he already had investors of his own lined up. He had done a good job networking. He had done a good job presenting his idea. So he had investors willing to put money into his business. Well, every subsequent time he would call me, I would say, hey, did you close that deal with that investor? And he would say, well, no, I didn't. And every time I pushed to find out why it was, well, they wanted too much equity in my company. Fast forward, that entrepreneur called me not too long ago and is still trying to raise money. And I said, at this point, you're going to have to give up even more equity than you would have in the very beginning because now you're in a tight spot and need that cash more than anything. You're going to have to do almost anything it would take to close the deal. So don't be so greedy that you hold on to the equity in your company, afraid to let go of it. If you're getting the right type of value from an investor, and notice I didn't say valuation, I said value. If you're getting the right type of value from an investor that would come into your deal, then the equity you're going to give up, yes, you may give up 25% of your company that would mean some value down the road to you, but you still have 75% in that example. You're still going to be wealthy beyond your dreams if your company grows and accomplishes the things that it should accomplish to make both you and your investor happy. So don't hold on so tight that you forget the idea of growing this company is what matters. The return to you and the investor is going to come when you reach higher milestones. Don't hold on so tight to your equity that you let your startup fail because you didn't get what you need to succeed. I hope that helps you. We'll talk to you later. See you.